urmzogna.com. Visit my my website, and on YouTube I'm Urmzogna, URMZOGNA. This is the image that was on the front page of the Burbank Daily Leader newspaper in 1985. Before I started my comic store, I started throwing little miniature comic book conventions. Here's a little admit one I put there. It's a nice New Age symbol here, and a variant of Mr. Dow, a Steve Ditko Spider-Man. And so just before I opened my comic store, Ninth Nebula, I threw little miniature comic book conventions at the oldest science fiction club in the world. And these are some of the ads that you've seen before, and a bunch of new ones. In 1965 I published a magazine called Beyond Infinity. And these were my earliest attempts to try to design a logo and so on. This was an early flyer. I got this from a DC Comics. It was from my store. And then I was at an art gallery. Remember graffiti? It used to be in Culver City, California, and also Westwood. Well, I had a portfolio I put out, and that was like one of the ads for it. A little art show. I designed that in. I thought it was pretty clever putting my character there. And then I had a price guide I put out, which people bought, and they loved it. As an early ad for my comic store, Ninth Nebula. That was another catalog I put out. 50% off old comics. How exciting was that, huh? Super ultra magical comic sale. We had a Frank Brunner autograph party. He came by and somebody brought him some beers, I recall. And these are all ads that I came up with. And there's just something from a portfolio from my first magazine, Graphic Illusion. I'm in my fourth magazine, Graphic Illusion. Actually, it was called Graphic Illusions with an S. But my current company is graphicillusion.com. Graphic-illusion. Early flyers. Some ads in the Comic Buyer's Guide of gold and silver comics. That's when I had a New Age bookstore where comic books paid their rent back in 1978. Beyond Delusion. And I used to throw autograph parties. In 1982 I had Jack Kirby show up for the Battle for a Three-Dimensional World, first major 3D comic in over 25 years. At a store in Studio City and Huntington Park. And I got Stan Lee to appear. I did all the promotion, paid for everything for the Studio City store. Another flyer for the Valley Comic Book Convention when I threw my little miniature comic on. It was a Steve Fabian original I owned and finally sold. These are the kind of autograph parties that I threw before I started my own store. Back in the 70s and 80s, we had Eclipse Comics, DN Agents with Will Mignot, Mark Evanier. We had Twilight Zone with George Clayton Johnson, author of Star Trek, Twilight Zone, and Logan's Runs, and much other speculative fiction, science fiction and such. Roy Thomas, creator and writer of Eric, Son of Thunder, and All-Star Squadron. Jack Kirby. I created all these flyers, including some of the logos and art. We had Jack Kirby, Captain Victory, Silver Star, Battle for the Three-Dimensional World, E-Man, Marty Pasco. This is just one flyer, right? All this stuff happened on different days. We had Sergio Aragonis, author and illustrator of Gru. And I had Stan Lee, the genius caused the no longer secret comic book explosion, creator of Marvel Comics. Notice how I had 7 autograph parties on this one page. Then I threw one with Marty Pasco and Sergio Aragonis and Stan Lee. This was just another quick flyer that was put out with rub-on lettering and my own strange art. Carol Kalish said she liked that one. That eye thing. I did that art there, and I did that art there. And when I draw, I don't look at anything. Lots of sales, lots of fun. I was there at Studio City from around 1976 when I quit grocery and did the S training, all the way until around 1985, with a little break in between. There's a Marvel catalog I put out. Ninth Nebula, the complete comic book store, and they gave us lots of cool flyer artwork and stuff to put in. So that's one of my earliest favorite cards that I designed. And that was just a little price guide thing with X-Men and so on. And a really old portfolio ad that appeared in the Comic Buyer's Guide. Somewhere it said "Out of the Void," and it was like 9 full-color black and white plates of my art. And then someone else who came to the place where I was working as the manager for 5 to 9 years, depending on how you look at it, drew that, designed that with their logo and stuff, or I helped. And here's a DC one. That is a price guide that I put out. A bunch of ads. Let's see if I can film it while getting them out one-handed. I don't know if you've seen these before, but oh yeah, these were ads in Comic Buyer's Guide while I had my comic store, Ninth Nebula, from 86 to 96. I think they're sort of cool. That was one of my favorite ones, Test Your Cosmic Awareness. I would use Marvel and DC ads, and I would just add material to it. That's a pretty good one. Stands out. Rocketeers in there, a bunch of others. Let's move on to the next binder. I don't know why I'm combining where I used to work with my own convention and store, but I guess I am for this video. These are how many web pages I designed when I first started making web pages. That was like a really long time ago. That's the N logo. I printed these things like at first because I liked them so much. You know, I designed the N and then I did many different variations. That's one of my favorites, and so is that one. And then all the images that I liked, I also kept copies of.